Jay here for Stretford, Paddock. This is it. This is the big one. Manchester United travelling to Villa Park in what's been dubbed a top 4 6-pointer. Joining me, as always, is Mr. Joe Smith. Well, say as always, you were here, we were me and Dave Pritt.
Well,
I'm proud of yourself.
Back now, aren't I? That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. Well said.
Thank you.
One person who's not back this week is Lisandro Martinez. Whilst the win over West Ham was fantastic, it did come at a price. Losing, for me, our most important player, and I'm not trying to be hyperbolic, I do think he is vital to the way we play under Erik Ten Hag. How much of a miss is he going to be for this game and for the time he's off?
Yeah, a big miss. We saw just when he came back, those, was it 4 games? Whatever 4 appearances, where things just looked smoother. He wins the ball back in ways that he's more, like when he wins the ball back, he gets it and he wins it, and there's no like, oh, I'm going to run alongside. He just does it. And obviously he's not, he's not faultless all the time, but he's so much more decisive and just correct in his actions than any of our other centre-backs. That's, as a defender, I think people underestimate him as a defender because he's so good on the ball, but he's a fantastic defender. Then on the ball, comfortably the best we've got at passing out from the back, comfortably the best we've got at carrying the ball out from the back. We keep the ball better when he's playing. We recycle possession better. Our midfield is more keen and willing to go backwards, and that means we can keep the ball more. Like, it's just massive. And I think if anything, if nothing else, I know he's injured, and I'm almost relieved that he's only injured for 3 months when it looked like it could be, a year with a serious knee injury. I think if nothing else, it will remind people that actually we've got a world-class defender to come back at some point later on in the season. Don't rule him out. Don't write him off. Don't misremember what he was because he had a poor start to the season because he was clearly still injured. When he's fit, when he's playing, he's fantastic, and we're going to have to find creative ways to work around him because you're not replacing him. You can't get someone to do what he does, but we can tweak things and change things. But yeah, I almost feel like this is a good segment just to give him some praise because he's brilliant and I love him and I miss him and I'm just a bit sad that he's gone.
I wish he wouldn't sit on the fence. No, listen, I agree with everything you said. I think he's just almost like, you can't say cult hero because everyone loves him, but he does feel a little bit like
just
that.
A hero, isn't he?
He's that guy that everyone's got behind. He gets the defence going. He's had some big performances in big games as well, and you can see how essentially, as you've said it all anyway, I don't need to just repeat what you've said. I said before, this is a 6-pointer in the top 4 race. It does feel like that, doesn't it? Because Villa are obviously doing really well. I think they're sat in 4th at the minute. Is it 8 points behind them? So obviously, if we lose it, we go 11 points behind them. If we win, we go 5. It's it is one of those games where if you get a win here, it would feel massive, and a loss, it would be hugely deflating.
Yeah, massively. And the term 6-point is a bit of a sort of a bit of an easy kind of Paul Merson sentence, but do you know what I mean? It makes sense, and this is, if you're ever going to have it, this is it. Yeah. Because if we lose this game, so at the minute we're 8 points behind Villa, their goal difference is 20 better than ours. So we basically need 8.5 points more than them between now and the end of the season. Like, if you want to put it in those terms, because if we get 8 points more than them, they'll beat us on goal difference. So we need 8.5 points more than Villa between now and the end of the season. If we lose this game, we're 11 points behind them with 12 games left. Right. That is not happening. Or sorry, with 14 games left. That's not happening. If we win, we're 5 points off them. That's 2 bad weekends and we're in the top 4, or we're certainly ahead of Aston Villa. The difference here is absolutely massive. I genuinely think if we lose this game, top 4 is done. I can't see a world where, because we have to, I said this the other day, but we have to, it's not just Villa we have to catch, we also have to catch Tottenham. That's a separate kettle of fish. If you want Villa to start crumbling and you want to actually be able to have any chance of catching them, let alone Tottenham, we have to not lose this game. A draw wouldn't be very good, but it would be far, far better than losing. We cannot lose this game.
What if we win 10-0? Then the goal difference is flipped.
Yeah.
Because they concede 10, we score 10.
Yeah. Perfect. It's not just a 6-pointer, it's a 10-goal. It's a 20-goaler.
Thank you.
It's a classic 20-goaler, isn't it?
That's the answer to our problems.
Beautiful.
No, you're right. It is, and it is worrying that we're in this position. Thank God we beat them at Old Trafford. That wasn't easy. You were there, weren't you?
Yeah.
It wasn't an easy one, but we managed to get over the line, and that's all that matters. With all that being said, give me your predicted 11. This is the team you think Erik Ten Hag is going to pick for the trip to Villa.
Yeah, largely unchanged. I think unusually, I'm going to work from the front backwards. I think Rashford, Højlund and Garnacho is our best front three that we've had all season.
Agreed.
I think we almost sort of, I wouldn't say stumbled across it, but he's clearly not been quite keen on putting Garnacho on the right, and for large parts of last season and this season, whenever Garnacho played, he would switch Rashford to the right to accommodate him. I think the main reason that he did it that way is because of Rashford's poor form. I don't think he wanted to risk taking an already out of form Marcus Rashford off of his favoured left wing and putting him out on the right. So he sort of went, I've got to put Garnacho on that, and it's clicked. And it's not Messi, Suarez, Neymar, but it's far better than we've seen in the last month, than we've seen all the rest of the season put together pretty much. Højlund's scoring, Garnacho's getting goals and assists, Rashford's getting goals and assists. I like that. No reason to change that. Same can be said for the midfield three. I think Kobbie Mainoo's undroppable. Casemiro, I saw a stat the other day about playing the ball through the lines and breaking lines. He's United's best player at doing that. And part of that is because he plays slightly deeper than Bruno, who was second. So there's less lines to break for Bruno because he's further forward. But Casemiro, I think, goes under the radar a little bit, and how good he can be. Obviously, Bruno's captain. The only question mark for me is this back five. So for mine, I've got Dalot, Varane, Maguire and Shaw. So basically keeping it essentially as was with Martinez, but it's just a straight swap with Maguire. The rest of your team, I think, is the same, but you've gone a different way completely to mine, haven't you? What have you got?
Yeah, I know it's not ideal, and I don't think there is a perfect solution to this.
Yeah.
But I've put Luke Shaw at left centre back. Yeah. I think Luke Shaw at left centre back actually does a very, very good job, and I think it's worth changing it to put him there. And I put Sofiane Amrabat at left back, who has played there, and I think he's done an okay job there as well. Don't forget, this is what I think Erik ten Hag might do. Now, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say Harry Maguire is the obvious one. He was player of the month for November. He's come in and he's been pretty reliable. I'm still slightly worried when it comes to Maguire, and I think we saw it against West Ham. There was one moment where he got dispossessed needlessly, and Martinez kind of got him out of jail. Yeah. Martinez did that thing of covering the man he was marking and then putting pressure on the attacker who had the ball. Yeah. I think, was it Johnson, whoever it was, spooned his shot. That could have been costly, that. Yeah. That could have been a mistake that ended up turning a win into a draw. I know we ended up winning comfortably, but I just wonder whether the manager might look at it and go, Martinez out, maybe I just need to go back to what I was doing last season, that's playing Luke Shaw at left centre-back. And I've used Amrabat at left-back before, so I can give that a go. Let me know. You may disagree completely. Let me know in the comments. This is what I think the manager will do, by the way, not what I would do.
I do think that Shaw is the closest thing we've got to a like-for-like replacement for Martinez in terms of his on-the-ball ability, his technical ability. He's not as good and he's not the same. He's not a centre-back. But I think if you want just to emulate Martinez as close as possible, Shaw definitely is the closest to that, I think.
I just wonder whether he weighs it up and goes, is it worth sacrificing something at left back to have someone who's probably a little bit better at left centre back? It's a debate. We can have Aston Villa. Yeah, they're still flying, they're still fourth, but they're in a bit of bad form, really. I think is it 3 wins in all competitions in the last 9 games. I think it is. Yeah, they've lost 2 home games back to back, which is their only defeats this season, I think, at home. Yeah, I mean, it's weird what's going on there, because obviously overall Unai Emery's done an amazing job and they've surprised everyone. Yep. Yet there's, dare I say, some cracks appearing.
Well, I know this is probably going to be a bit harsh, and as I said before, they may well finish above us this season. The problem fundamentally for Aston Villa is their team isn't as good as the teams around them. Okay. And they've got a very good team and some very good players, and certain players like Ollie Watkins are having the moment of his career. John McGinn, I think, is a good player. They've got other players like Kamara, who's playing very well. Douglas Luiz as well, who looks very good. They've got good players, but it isn't as good. Their team isn't as good, I don't think, as Tottenham's. I don't think it's as good as United's on paper. I certainly wouldn't swap them. I don't think it's as good as Arsenal's and Chelsea's and obviously, Arsenal's and Liverpool's and obviously definitely not City. And this is the conversation they were in up until 3 weeks ago. They were, 2 points off top, I think, going into Christmas. So they're the people you're comparing them to. And I think fundamentally, they aren't quite as good as them. Obviously, the tactics are brilliant. They've got a huge amount of confidence, which, as I always talk about, is massive. But I do think that this was always going to happen because they, fundamentally, and this is, again, slightly harsh, their squad just isn't as good as those around them. And United need to capitalise on that. They've lost the last 2 games at home, like you said. If they're ever going to have some weaknesses, some frailties, now is it. We might, we're almost playing them at Villa Park at the perfect time. Everyone else has gone there and got beaten this season. we have to win, and this is the perfect time to play them, because you're just starting to see for the first time, actually, when it comes down to it, that teams can get a couple of goals past you when, maybe that didn't seem likely even 3 or 4 weeks ago. Yeah,
and it happens with teams. It happens with, I know he's not that new, but he's newish. With new managers where they come in and they have this massive sort of improvement and everything's great and everything's going really well, and then all of a sudden the wheels start coming off, and that sticky patch can last longer than a couple of games, and I'm hoping it lasts at least 3 games so we can get a result against them.
Look at Leicester. I think there was 2 seasons in a row during COVID and the season after where they spent 76 games in 2 seasons of a Premier League. They must have spent something like 60 weeks in the top 4. Yeah. Remember, 2 seasons in a row they were in the top 4 all year. When we and dropped out last minute.
The King Power.
Yeah.
When we finished 3rd, going into that game, there was a scenario where they would have finished 3rd or 4th at least, and we wouldn't have finished in the top 4.
Yeah.
But we ended up winning, and other results helped us as well.
So you can see that with teams, and it's a sort of similar situation. And I hope they do well, but obviously I need them to drop enough points that United can get ahead of them.
Yeah, I still think there's a slight weakness there that hopefully we can exploit, but I'm not getting too confident. Don't forget, get your phones out, film yourself in landscape, and send us your score predictions to paddockmatchday@gmail.com. We will use that as part of our pre-match build-up on the watch-along.
Some new people and some really good ones as
send
well.
Them in. Be part of the channel. This is your channel, man. Yeah. Give us your score prediction, my brother.
I think it's going to be a draw. I'm going to go 1-1. I think United will score a goal. I think Bruno Fernandes will score, and I think we'll concede one. I think it'll be 1 goal each. We may even concede first, actually.
I don't fancy us for this.
Yeah.
I hope I'm wrong. Obviously, I want United to win football matches. Let's not be silly about it. But I have a feeling it might be the sort of reverse of what we saw at Old Trafford. I think they might win 3-2 this time. I hope I'm wrong, and I'm often wrong. So fingers crossed I am wrong and we get a result. But send us your score predictions. Joe, where can people find you?
Joe Smith 93 on Instagram and Twitter.
You know where to find me as well. This has been the preview for the Aston Villa game. Don't forget to hit like, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching.